sawzall. Well, everyone, people seem to wonder a lot of the time what to look for when buying a used car, whether it be old like mine or whether it be old like Tyler's M3. Well, figured I'd show you guys top 5 things to look for when you're looking at a used car, and we're going to use my car as an example because so rule number 1, ask them to pop the hood and see if anything looks tampered with. If you have anything that doesn't look like it's normal or should have been there from the factory, like per se there's a bunch of random wires all over the place, which granted these are here for a reason, but if you don't really know much about cars, if you see a bunch of wires all over the place, like say like a small wire like this or a large wire running to a system, something like that, ask them about it, see if it was done professionally, anything like that. If it was, that's good. If it wasn't and they did it themselves, ask them how much knowledge they have in that sort of stuff and make sure that they didn't just cob job it together. Rule number 2, check any underhood fluids in the car, whether it be oil, like this, transmission fluid, if it's there. A lot of front engine transaxle cars don't actually have a transmission fluid dipstick because they're, what do they call it? No service needed for life, stuff like that. They claim that the transmission's good for the life of the car. I really agree with that. But to go on from there, check, like I said, transmission, engine, check the coolant, look inside, see if it looks cloudy, if it's got a lot of particulate in it, anything like that. Check, you can actually pop the radiator cap off, as long as the car's cold. That's absolutely fine to do. Check power steering, brake fluid, anything under the hood that is an essential fluid to the car, to running, to driving. Make sure you check that sort of stuff. Number 3, check or ask, I guess you could say, the owner of the current owner of the vehicle, whether they have had regular maintenance on it, whether they have records of that, any of the sort. Whether they have a mechanic that they always took the car to, one singular mechanic, not multiple. And if you really wanted to, go further in depth, if it's a nice car, you're spending a lot of money on it, and you want to make sure everything's fine. If they tell you a mechanic they always took it to, ask them for where the mechanic is and go talk to the mechanic about the car. Ask them about the history. Anything like that that will kind of give you a little insight to how the car used to be driven, what the maintenance was like, how well the person took care of it, stuff like that. Rule number 4, it's kind of an optional thing, but a lot of people, when they buy a new car or buy a used car, they like to make sure they have good tires on there. I'll demonstrate with mine real quick, but there's this little thing called a penny trick. It's a regular penny, and if you insert it into one of the tire treads here, I hope you guys can see that, as long as it covers up his head, you got a decent amount of tread left on there. Usually that's around 6 to 7 30 seconds. Actually, that might even be more than that. But I mean, anything touching or up to like the top of his head from his chin, because you're gonna be holding it upside down. Anything from about like his forehead area to his chin is probably a decent amount of tread that'll probably get you another, I don't know, depending on your driving, 10,000 miles. If it's a lot of tread like these are, you're looking at 20 to 30,000 miles. But again, it's all dependent on your driving style, stuff like that. These are just numbers I'm throwing out there. Okay, rule number 5. Make sure that you get under the car a little bit and you look down here. If it's a truck, make sure you're checking the frame to see how rusty it is. As you can see, my frame's a little rusty. Not super bad for a 97, but that's besides the point. Check the frame, look at the exhaust, make sure there's no holes in that. Check the body. As you can see, I have a small rust hole there. I have a matching one on the other side. Just look for small stuff like that, like rust holes, how bad the frame is in the rust is in the frame. If you have a unibody car, which is going to be pretty much any car other than a truck nowadays, or yeah, trucks pretty much only trucks only frame on body or body on frame car nowadays. Just check under there, see how bad the underbody of the car is, like the unibody part. Floor pans, make sure there's no holes in those, stuff like that. And just kind of do an all around assessment of rust or wear on the vehicle. Alrighty guys, well that is my top 5 rules for when you're buying a used car. If anybody has any questions, feel free to comment in the on this video. Me or Tyler will get back to you as soon as we can. We're pretty good about keeping on top of our stuff when it comes to our channel. If commenting isn't enough, if you feel like feel free to email us. Again, we'll get back to you usually within a few days. But him and I are pretty decent when it comes to buying used cars and stuff like that, and we're pretty used to buying used cars and fixing stuff. So if anybody has any questions about what they should look for, or any questions about fixing things, stuff like that, feel free to comment or email us. But as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, deuces.